David Keith Lynch, born January 20, 1946, Missoula, Montana. His early life was shaped by his father, Donald Walton Lynch, a research scientist for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and his mother, Edwina Sonny Lynch, an English tutor. Because of his father's job, Lynch's family moved frequently, giving him exposure to a variety of American landscapes and cultures during his formative years. From an early age, Lynch demonstrated a strong passion for drawing and painting, a talent that laid the groundwork for his creative future. After high school, he enrolled in School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, but dissatisfaction led him to leave after a year. He then joined the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts in Philly in 1965. There he began working on short films, merging his love of visual art with storytelling. His first short, Six Men Getting Sick, made in 1967, was a critical milestone that hinted at the surreal style he would later bring to cinema. David Lynch was married 4 times and fathered 4 children. His first marriage to Peggy brought his daughter, Jennifer. Lynch married Mary Fisk and had his son, Austin. And then he married Mary Sweeney, and he had his son, Riley. And then he married Emily Stoffel, and he had his daughter, Lula. All his children. I wish them the absolute best, nothing but love and light. And during this very difficult time. I've always... it's always hard to talk about people you don't really know that well, especially in this kind of candid way. I've been a fan of David Lynch's work since my kind of later teenage years, when I went kind of off the beaten path to trying some other forms of art that really felt like something I understood, felt like the world that I came to know or understood or made more sense to me than a lot of the other stuff I had been exposed to around that age. And I happened upon David Lynch's work. Obviously very prolific by that point. I think I started watching his stuff around 2008, 9, 10, somewhere around there. I watched Blue Velvet first. I tried watching Twin Peaks first. Didn't really hit me exactly at that moment. But a few years later, I decided to come back to it just because people were recommending him so much to me. They're like, you got to really try Twin Peaks. I think this is going to be something you really like. And I said, I don't know. I tried it twice already. It wasn't really my thing. But the third time I sat down to really watch Twin Peaks and give it a couple episodes, more than I had given it before, and it changed my life. It changed my life in such a huge way. I became obsessed with Twin Peaks, and that led me to watching everything else by David Lynch. And I was still unsure. About David Lynch's work. I wasn't sure how it kind of meshed with me, communicated with me. And I watched Blue Velvet, which I enjoyed, and I watched Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me. Those were kind of and Eraserhead. Those were my kind of first David Lynch movies to watch. But I enjoyed them, but it didn't hit me at that point until I watched Elephant Man. And Elephant Man was the one that brought everything home. The one that made everything make sense, brought it full circle, and really distilled David Lynch as my favorite director now. The emotions he brought, the tone, the technical prowess, the emotions he got out of those actors, the performances he got out of those actors, made me understand who David Lynch was, what he wanted to put out into the world, the way he chose to tell stories, the way he chose to tell stories about people, and the way people live, and the way people choose to live, and their traumas and their difficult. It just felt so well-rounded, and he does it in such a way that seems so small and isolated, but it brings up these big, beautiful, dark, strange, mysterious things, and things that exist in all of us, essentially, and he's able to bring it to a screen. And I felt that the most powerfully in Elephant Man. And then I was able to go back and find a whole new enjoyment. Now something had clicked for me, and I was able to enjoy everything. And I watched everything I possibly could get my hands on when it comes to David Lynch. Now, I didn't have a lot of people in my circles that really were big Lynch fans, so I decided to start making YouTube videos, which kind of lined up perfectly with the return of Twin Peaks. I started making videos about Twin Peaks around 2013, 2014, and then they announced that the return was going to be happening and that Lynch was doing it, then he wasn't going to do it, then he was doing it again, that whole thing. And it was a very exciting time. I met a lot of people through that period of my life, and I'm forever grateful. And that wouldn't have happened without the work of David Lynch and Mark Frost. But, you know, David Lynch's work permeated so much of my world at that point, and still does. Obviously, I have Lynch stuff everywhere. I have his photography book right here too. It's just everywhere. It became almost, I know people say this all the time, but it became almost like a religious experience. You know, you just meet these communities all over, you know, the web. I met so many people in real life. I started a relationship through our love of Twin Peaks and David Lynch stuff. It completely changed my life for the better, and it made me a better creator. That's the cool thing about David Lynch's work. He's such a creator's creator. Watching his work, reading it, looking at it, it just makes your brain turn in a way that personally no other artwork really did. Maybe except Kurt Vonnegut, who I know they kind of, Lynch and Vonnegut kind of knew each other, or they hung out once or twice, something like that. But those two are like my big landmark creatives. Like when I read or watch something, it gets my wheels turning, and it makes me really want to create. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about Lynch's work. It is so like communicative. It feeds you emotion. It feeds you ideas. It makes you feel things that maybe a lot of other mediums don't really do that well. Not a lot of other films do that well. Very, you know, very select, at least for me. And all David Lynch's films just hit me. And Twin Peaks, it just hit me. And it still feels, it makes like just the wires go off, the endorphins go off when you watch those things, even though a lot of it deals with difficult and traumatic and dark things. There's so much light too, and there's so much humanity, and it makes you so romantic and poetic about our world and our lives. And David Lynch was able to do that, and it's such an incredible thing that I don't think we really get that often. He seriously was, and will always be one of a kind, a true artist, a true golden human being. It's so difficult knowing that he's not with us anymore, but without rambling too much, because also my battery's I just want to say thank you, David Lynch, for everything you did for us. Maybe you're somewhere here in the pool of consciousness. Maybe some of it can reach you from all of us that miss you, love you. Nothing but love to David Lynch's close friends, family. I wish you guys all the strength and love during this difficult time, and same to all of us big fans of David Lynch. Sending my heart out to everybody. I know it's difficult, and it's going to be a while for us to really hit. Honestly, knowing that what we got from him is what we got from him. I know it's hard to, you don't want to like ask, but it's just so, he did such incredible things that we want to just live in his brain a little bit longer all the time. And that's just what we want. But thank you guys for watching. I know that's difficult. I'm just happy that we're going to keep talking about the work of David Lynch for pretty much the rest of our lives. And it's still going to affect us the same way, or in similar ways, or in different ways that it did the first time we watched it. And that's just a beautiful thing, Until next time, thank you guys for watching. Nothing but love. See you soon.